Hi guys, and welcome back to the Health Bar. I hope everyone is doing well. I really appreciate all the feedback that we've been getting from the YouTube and Spotify, and I'm super stoked that season 2 is still going really well. So if you're new here, my name is Love Mitt. People normally call me Mitty or Mitt, and I had a breakdown quite a few years ago and found it quite hard to open up and talk about it. Gaming has really helped me do that, but also as well, I know gaming is not always the best solution for your mental health and can be the cause of your mental health, and that is what this whole podcast is about. I always start off the podcast with my own mental health for the week. My own mental health for the week has actually been good, but I've had I don't really know what to call it, to tell you the honest truth, but I, at the moment, and I'm not feeling lonely because that's not the word, but I'm probably feeling lonely, but for like company, I suppose, as in real life, people. And we talked about this on my stream the other day, and it was, I don't have any friends up here, really. I have some, obviously, people up here that are friends, but I don't really see them, either they're not close or, that type of thing. It's me as well. I probably don't reach out enough to try and obviously meet up with people. And that obviously is my anxiety. But I found that really hard. And recently I found it a lot. And going to another class with the little one, a new class, which has been really good. But then people are talking about, there's a couple of mums there and they're talking about having play dates, obviously, with their children and because they know each other. And I find that really sad because we don't have that. So that's kind of my struggle, I suppose, this week. And I don't know how to fix it yet. There's always a yet, because I always like to try and work it out, speak to the missus, try and figure something out, see if there's anything we can do, or if there isn't, what's next, etc. And it's not lonely because I have my online friends. And this is, again, a big thing that we talk about here is online friends and company, etc. And the people that I speak to on a daily basis, as in the IOP founders, they have been and are amazing for me. And I'll always say that they've just been great just to come on and have a bit of a moan or a bit of a chat or whatever it is. And they've helped, which is great. And this is why I always think that Discord or other groups like Discord and chat services are good. Obviously, be careful. There's a lot of rubbish out there and bad ones, but that's kind of where I am, I suppose. We are introducing a new guest today, which is great. So, again, if you haven't listened back to the podcast, we've had people back from season 1 on to season 2, also a couple of new people. And I really like to get new people involved and to open up, obviously, which is always a hard thing. But it's nice because then you can relate to some of the stories that we've not told yet. Or, if you don't relate to that one, you might relate to this one, and etc. And we're always here to try and, if this helps one person, then we're doing something amazing. So tonight's guest is PacSamPlays. Now, PacSam, I met through Human Shields, but coming into the It's Only Pixels Discord to play the FIFA League. So we've just started a FIFA League, which is brilliant. I'm horrendous at FIFA. I'm practicing. I'm trying to get better, and I think I am getting better. And met Sam on there, and we've been chatting, and he reached out and asked if he could come on the podcast after seeing the one about Human Shield. So super excited. So without further ado, welcome, Sam.
Yeah, good evening, mate. How are you doing?
Not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. All good.
Good. So, well, now you're on here. That's kind of, if you want to kind of, say who you are, if you're obviously a streamer, gamer, what games you play, etc. Just let us know. That'd be awesome.
Okay. PacSamPlays, Sam for short, is my actual name. You're guessing you would have gathered that. The PacSamPlays, the Pac-Man part of it comes from, that was the first game I ever played as a 4-year-old kid.
Amazing.
Yeah, played Pac-Man. Yeah, so that's where it comes from.
Nice.
I play FIFA all the time. That's my main game, really. Can I call myself a streamer yet? Probably not. Coming back to streaming, that's what we'll say.
Okay.
I've done a bit of YouTube in the past, and at the minute it's all about the TikToks. They seem to be going all right.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, very true.
Sticking with that.
Nice. So, I always like to kind of mention that. So, I always like to talk about a bit of gaming history, and obviously you mentioned there about Pac-Man. That's obviously how you started. What kind of then, like, what are you on now, and how did you get there? Like, what consoles or PCs or games that kind of, what did you grow up with, and then kind of where are you now? You stream or playing on a PC or console or what? Yeah, how's it all evolved from Pac-Man, I suppose?
So basically, I started on Pac-Man on what I believe was an, hang on, let me think of it, Amiga. An Amiga, it was called. I'm pretty sure.
Nice. Yeah.
Then I had we had a Commodore 64.
Yeah.
Which I played like a Shinobi, I think was one on there, and Breakout, little bat at the bottom and the balls going up.
That
was one of the first ones. And I moved into, what was the next one I had? I've pretty much had every console that's ever been, to be honest.
Nice.
I've had a Master System, a Mega Drive. The only one I didn't have was a Sega Saturn. I never had that.
The disc one, isn't it? That's the disc one.
Yeah. I've had a Dreamcast, a GameCube, N64, all the PlayStations, all the Xboxes, including the Crystal one, which was a limited edition.
That's insane. Nice.
I know.
I like that.
If only I'd have kept all these, I'd be rich. I would actually be rich.
I know, you're right.
They're all long gone into a cash converter somewhere.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So what do you play on now? Are you PS5 or Xbox or PC?
I'm PS5 now, and I also have a Series S Xbox.
Nice.
So I can switch between the two. PC gaming has still eluded me.
Yeah.
For financial reasons at the minute. So.
Yeah, 100%.
It's still where I want to get to eventually, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
have no idea.
I think it's one of them, isn't it? It's kind of like, I was never going to get a PC. It sounds really strange saying that now that I've got one, but I always wanted one, but I was never really going to get one because I was just on console and I was just playing. I wasn't doing anything else. I was just playing. And then a friend of mine said, I'm going to move from PlayStation to PC. And he goes, you should do it as well. And I was like, I don't know. And he goes, yeah, you might as well, and all that. And then we worked it out, and I worked out a budget and a price, and someone built me one for that budget, and that was it. And I was like, oh my God, amazing. And then obviously I've upgraded since then, and so on and so forth. But and it's really weird because I've had every PlayStation, not any of the special edition ones, but I've had every PlayStation, and then when I got to the PS4, like I was like, I can't wait for the PS5 and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff, and I've not bought one, because I'm literally just like, I don't know what I would do with it, and it's really weird because I was always like a PlayStation, always a PlayStation nut, and would buy the magazines when I was a kid, and all the demo discs and all that kind of stuff. But I haven't. Yeah, exactly. I haven't got one, and I don't think I will get one because I don't know what I would do with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So someone that's made that transition from PlayStation to PC.
Yes.
Like, what do you think the main differences are, and why should I get a PC? Sell me the idea, Mitty. Sell me the idea.
Oh, that's a great one. I like that. For me, it was transition to mouse and keyboard was rough. I would say that I nearly quit, like transferring to mouse and keyboard. But you pick it up really quick, which is good. For me, it was faster, smoother gameplay, and then for me, streaming wise, it was just simple. Like there was no other reason. Like I would still like to do what Human Shields has done and have a 2 PC setup. I've actually got a broken PC in my garage that I'm still tempted to take bits out and then like redo it, and that'll be my gaming or streaming PC. I'm still tempted to do that and build it up myself, because the one I've got at the moment I built myself. Me and the missus built it, which was so much fun. It was scary as hell, but it was so much fun. So I think I would like to go down that route. But yeah, for streaming wise, it was a no-brainer, because I had friends that were trying to stream, and we are talking obviously back in the past before the PS5 and the PS4 and you know, and people trying to stream off like rubbish laptops, or trying to stream, from the PlayStation or the Xbox to the laptop, then obviously OBS and whatever, and just wasn't working and crashing, and I was like, oh my god, this is horrendous. And as soon as I got the PC, I started streaming, and that was it. I started streaming straight away on Mixer. But for me, if you are a casual gamer, I think a console is all you need, and it's brilliant. If you've got it in your lounge and you watch films off it and Netflix and whatever, if you haven't got a TV that's already got it all in, I mean, most of them do now, and obviously the services do, but that's what I used my PS4 for, really, was to watch Netflix and other programs that, and also have a DVD player, where obviously PCs don't obviously have a disk drive anymore, So if you're a casual player, don't ever get anything else. If you've got your own kind of room and you've got a bit of space, or not even your own room, but understairs cupboard or whatever, you see some amazing PC setups now in tiny spaces, then go for it. You've got like better resolution, faster pace. I don't know. I think if you're looking to get into being a better gamer, especially FPS, maybe go down.
That's the main thing, isn't it? That's the main thing for sure.
Yeah, maybe go down the PC route, but then loads of people are jumping back to controller, but still obviously on the PC. So, I think there is a place for it all still. There will be a time when there isn't.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
But at the moment, there's always a place for everything. Even the handhelds. I've got a Nintendo Switch, and I love it.
We've had a Switch,
it's great fun. So, yes, so that is what I would say about PC. If you don't need it, don't do it. If you think if you're going to start streaming, as in like sit down and have a room, and you kind of want a better streaming quality to your games or TikTok or whatever, then I think a PC is the way forward. Definitely.
Okay. You've sold it well.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you. And that'll be £500. So that's also with the gaming history. I always love talking about like gaming history with people, because I was a ZX Spectrum and then kind of did the Mega Drive route, and then like every month or every other month I'd swap with my mate, like with a Mega Drive for the SNES or the NES, or we used to swap all the time. It used to be so good. I don't think our parents really agreed with it, because they thought that we're going to break it or they're going to break it or whatever. But it worked out wicked, and we used to do that quite a lot, which was great fun. But yeah, I do like to talk about game history. It's pretty good fun. Cool. So jumping on to obviously one of the big reasons why we're here is mental health. And it was quite interesting what you and you kind of reached out and said that watching the episode with me and Human Shields kind of hit home a little bit with yourself, and kind of why you wanted to come on. So how mental health wise, kind of what is going on with yourself, or if at the moment, and where's it been, and how's gaming helped, and let's kick things off and go from there, I suppose.
Okay. Well, at the minute, I'm okay. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. Yeah. It basically all started just before when COVID started. So when the first wave of COVID, just before, like the Christmas before that, was when I was like struggling pretty badly, like with general life. To the point where it was probably not going to be that anymore. I think that's the only way I can say that, and it'd be allowed to stay on YouTube.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, so that was as bad as it got, to be honest.
Yeah.
Luckily, circumstances happened, and I managed to not end up in a ditch or something.
Yep.
So that was good. But then, obviously, once COVID hit, I lost my job. I lived there as well, so I lost where I lived.
Oh my god! Oh Jesus!
So
okay,
it's a bit of a double whammy.
Yes.
And then, obviously, the time after that was obviously all stuck. I say stuck at home. I was glad to be out of work. Been doing 60 hours because I was running a restaurant. You see,
Jeez.
I've been doing it was a bar actually at that point, but I've been doing it for 15 years solid.
Oh my god,
60-hour weeks every week. I was glad. I was like, oh, this is great. To get some time off, like. So once it had been a while, obviously just being stuck in the house and stuff, like all the anxieties and stuff that I knew I'd always had, like I knew it was there.
Yeah.
It was just masked by the fact that I was always in a people-facing job.
Yes.
So I couldn't be upset. I couldn't be anything. I just had to. I was basically like an actor, just in a really rubbish paid one.
Yeah.
So like I had just have you paint this smile on, you go to work. That's your job at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I think the fact that I was away from that gave me a chance to wallow, I guess would probably be the way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Then when it came to going out and doing something, it was one of my friends' stag do. It was like the first proper thing I'd done outside the house. Obviously, this was after the lockdown and all that. And I just had a full-scale meltdown, basically. And to the point where I was bloody crying on the train on the way home from Leeds.
Yeah.
And cried all the way home from the train station. That was kind of like I got in and I was like, this isn't right. Like, there's something wrong with there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
So I went off and got counselling, basically, for my crippling anxiety and depression and all the other stuff that goes along with it.
Yes.
It was life changing, honestly. Like the counselling, I couldn't speak highly enough of it.
That's good.
I did it for like a year or so.
Yeah.
Which finished back end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Finished by my choice, not like they didn't kick me out or out. Because I felt like I'd reached a point where they wanted me to keep going out the house because this brings us back to the last episode with Human Shields.
Yeah.
So I'm still at the point where I won't go out unless basically I have my sons with me.
Yeah.
Because they're like my comfort blanket.
Yes.
Which is what I used to have was smoking or drinking or other activities.
Yes.
Which helped me obviously in the workplace. But then obviously once I came away from that, I stopped smoking, no drinking, nothing else.
Yeah.
And then now I had a different comfort blanket when I go out the house, and it's my boys basically.
Yeah.
Because I don't want them to see me in.
Yeah.
Not weak, because it's okay to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's probably you don't want them to see you being vulnerable or feeling vulnerable.
Yes, exactly, because I don't want them to then feel vulnerable because they're not protected by me.
Yes, yeah.
If that makes sense.
100%. And it's actually really interesting you saying that, because your story of you sitting on the train and then crying is like nearly identical to mine, of me driving home absolutely in tears, walk in the front door, burst into tears even more, and my missus going, what the hell's happened? And I couldn't talk, and I was like, something's wrong, like something's not right. And then honestly, it's like exactly the same, and that feeling of what the hell's going on, like it was so scary. It was really bizarre, and I went down the same route as yourself. I did therapy. Annoyingly, not annoyingly, obviously it's still very good, but NHS is always struggling with therapists and time wise and things like that, and made me didn't make me, but they kind of did. Like they said, if you want to get onto like the private, well, not private, but one-to-one sessions, you kind of have to do a couple of group sessions and that first, which for me, I just felt like a fraud and I felt like I shouldn't be there. Right. But then obviously did get onto that, but I also went down the private route as well in between because I needed help, which was great. But obviously I understand a lot of people can't do that, like financial wise. And, but you are right. I mean, for me, I think therapy worked to a certain extent, but then that was it. Yeah. They kind of, it helped me start to talk about it, but it wasn't, I don't know if it was the therapist I had or it just wasn't right for me. Whereas very strangely, this to me is more therapy than actually going to a therapist, which is really strange. I mean, I'm still on medication, a lowish dose, but I'm still on sertraline, and I've tried some others as well, and obviously they didn't work, and up doses and down doses, and obviously the whole lot. But yeah, it's interesting you say that with the story, and again, similar with my little one is that I don't like. It's not that I don't like going out of the house, because when I'm out and about, I kind of feel fine.
Yeah. It's the build up, isn't it? It's the build up.
But then with the little one,
it's the thinking.
Yeah, exactly. With the little one, I have to go out. I have to take him to a class. I have to go to swimming lessons. I have to do everything, and which is great because it's amazing because he's getting out and he's really enjoying it, and I'm getting out, which is good for me. But if I don't have to go out, I won't. And that still is an issue for me, and I know it's an issue. But yeah, I do get where you're coming from, 100%. And it's nice because you when you messaged and said that, you know, it kind of related to you, it was a nice thing because of the fact that you're not alone and it is normal.
Exactly.
It's not like this whole thing. Because again, I think a lot of depression and mental health is you do feel very alone and you do feel like you are the only one going through it. And yes, you are 100% allowed to feel like that because everyone does. But when you start to kind of open up and get a little breakthrough of who you know, what you're trying to help and fix yourself, and not fix yourself, but you know what I mean? Finding out that other people are going through very similar things actually makes you feel a little more normal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Like what you said about the counselling thing actually just triggered something in my head because I don't think it necessarily was the counselling that helped. If I know that sounds like I'm going back on myself, but what helped me is that I'd never really spoke to anybody about anything ever.
Yes.
So like I kept it to myself, or like I just like little snippets here and there. Whereas when the counsellor used to ring, like it was just an hour of me just venting shit.
Yes.
And like she just absorbed it almost. And was like, right, well, and then obviously you go from there. Yeah. So it was like a weird experience for me because I'd never done it before. So I think it was more that, like, I don't think it had to be her or it had to be a counsellor. I reckon it could have been you, and it would have still helped. Do you know what I mean? So which I think that ties back into what you're saying, like why this helps and.
Exactly.
It helps other people, like you say. It's not just some counsellor going, "Oh yes, other people do have this," but like to actually hear it from somebody's mouth, like, "Yes, I struggle with that." Like, that's why it was such a light bulb moment for me. I'm like, "No way! These two guys who I talk to all the time feel exactly the same as me." Why don't we just talk about it? You know what I mean?
Exactly, and that's exactly why I wanted to do this because, you know, and it is weird because. And obviously, I don't know your age, but I'm 40, and from my like background and my family background, not really my family, my mum and dad are amazing, and my sister's amazing, and talk about stuff all the time. Like when we were younger, we used to kind of like sit around a dinner table and talk about everything, sex, drugs, rock and roll, like the whole lot. We would just talk about everything, and it was really good. And it was a lovely kind of open kind of experience. Obviously, as a teenager, you kind of obviously keep stuff back because that's what we do. You know, so that was a really good. But when you go then further back, the next generation, like my granddad, you know, it was, and my dad was very similar, and my mum was very similar. It's like you fall over, and it's like, get up, rub the dirt off, nothing's wrong with you. And, you know, and it's like that whole thing of like, I hate this saying, is man up, you know, and that was such a big saying, you know, throughout my whole childhood, but not because of my mum and dad, just because of life in general. That's everyone. That's the whole of like the UK where, you know, where I was brought up, the whole of the UK was going through the same thing. And it was just you know, no one talked about it ever. And like, it's really funny now because talking to like my mum and dad and things like that, they're, you know, even my mum and dad would slightly admit, you know, that they obviously have struggled in the past and never talked about it, or whatever. And everyone has been there at some point, obviously on a different scale. But now we can actually talk about it, and there's no stigma. There was, but there's nowhere near as much stigma. And we can talk about it. And I think my own personal experience here, so I know everyone is totally different, but I feel that if we talk about it more and people are open about how they're feeling, a lot of people will not get to the stages of where you were, and other people wanting to harm themselves or others or do something, which you can't come back from. And, that I truly believe that, and that's why I kind of wanted to do it, because I found it really hard to talk to people as soon as it happened to me, because I was the same as you and I didn't want to talk to anyone. And, I couldn't even get out of bed, let alone get in a shower and physically go and see someone. It was just impossible, So to physically then go and see someone and start talking about it and actually going, do you know what, I can talk to everyone about this now. And, I just feel that it makes it a little bit more, more real and accessible and etc.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I don't think I don't want to say it'll never go away, because hopefully it does. But I mean, even for tonight, obviously. So I've been sat here since 6:30, twiddling my thumbs.
Yeah.
I didn't need to be. I could have been doing anything.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I just sat here and waited and got more and more stressed. And then I'm looking at my camera and I'm like, oh, is this all right? Oh my God, what if this happens? That is exactly what it is in a little ball. That half an hour of my life was what it's always like. It's so stressful.
Yes.
But yeah, I do hope it does get better, but I think it'll always be there to a certain extent.
This is what I always say. I don't think mine will ever go away, ever.
No.
I truly believe I don't think it will ever go away, but it's how I deal with it on a daily basis. And that's kind of one of my big things is, now, and again, I always bring it back to my little one. He's 2 years old. I get out of bed for him and the missus and the dog. I get out for them, and, it's that whole thing of, I've got something to get out for. And even though I think that now, my little one is my main priority, same with my missus and the dog, my family is my main priority. I still find it very hard if it was just me. That's my personal struggle. But again, it's that whole step of get up, make your bed, have a shower, eat breakfast, have a coffee. Then all of a sudden you're already and it's so strange to say this, you're already beaten that first demon of not even getting out of bed. And it is hard.
Sure.
Because I think obviously I'm sure you've been there, and physically trying to get out of bed was the hardest thing in the world. And I was like, I don't want to move. I don't want to move. So doing these little steps, and I used to have a checklist. So stupid. Saying it out loud is so weird.
No, it's a good idea. I know exactly where you're going. It's a good idea.
I had a notebook, and I used to doodle and draw in it and all that kind of stuff, again, to keep my mind active. But it would say Monday, and the first one would be get up. And I could tick it off, and then it would go get in the shower. I could tick it off, and it would make bed, coffee, breakfast, and it was stupid things though, really silly things like sweep the floor. It had everything on it and all of a sudden you go through that list and you've done your morning. You're like, holy shit, I've done loads, and then that gives you such a boost. And it isn't loads, and when you think about it, it's not loads. Literally everyone. When you think shower, breakfast, all that, and whatever it is, it isn't a lot.
To some people, that is a lot.
It is a lot. Exactly that. And you need to start on these little things and work your way up. And it doesn't work for everyone. The same with mindfulness, therapy, medication. You need to find your own route, but there is a route for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, like I was saying about if this helps one person, my main story would be I went from nearly being like that at to not being here. What?
Yeah.
2 years later.
Exactly.
And yeah, I'm not fine, and I'm not going to pretend that I am fine.
Yeah.
I'm a damn sight better than I was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So no matter how bad it gets, you can still always come back out the other side.
Exactly.
By hook or by crook, you might make it.
Exactly that. And so obviously with your journey and talking about kind of like therapy and medication and things like that, the gaming, where does that kind of come to? For me, as I say, streaming massively helps, and this is streaming, not gaming. Streaming massively helps me because I get to talk to people and I get to talk all the time. And that to me is like because I don't see physically a lot of people. I start seeing more people because obviously I have to go out. But I don't go to a job. I'm a stay-at-home dad. Like, it's my job, but you know what I mean. I don't go to an office and meet like 50 people, or I don't have meetings or Skype calls or anything. So I don't do any of that. So streaming for me is a massive, massive help for my mental health. If I have people in the chat, and that's another issue because you just never know,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
So for you, how has gaming helped, hindered? What's kind of your relationship with gaming and the mental health side?
Yeah, so when I first started, I can't remember when it was. I don't think it must have been obviously after the first lockdown started.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm sat twiddling my thumbs, so what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So obviously, my lad, who's now 13, scarily enough, that'll give you a clue to my age. By the way, I'm slightly younger than you, and I look a lot older than you, so we'll leave it at that. Moving on. So he said about obviously he loves Fortnite, and that's the only reason I play it, because he dragged me into it. But now I love it, and he never plays it.
Yeah.
Yes, he was like, well, why don't you do this, and why don't you do this, and why don't you do this YouTube thing? So I had a little look at it, and I'm like, doesn't seem that hard. Like, just be yourself, play a game. I was like, I play games anyway.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, all right, I'll give it a go. Basically, that was how it very first started, and then I got into a couple of Discord groups, then met a couple of people like Mellors. I don't know if you've ever met Mellors.
Never, but I've heard the name, and I think on Twitter, I think I've heard of them, and I think someone said they were coming back. Is that right?
Apparently. He's had more comebacks than bloody The Undertaker. So there was obviously like Mellors and obviously Human Shield.
Yeah.
Or John Dock as he was back then.
Exactly, yeah.
So we had this little like friend group, if you like. And then I had a bit of a wobble myself. And I just shut everybody off. So just literally, that was it. Stopped doing I'm getting to the point of the staying in the bed thing. Yeah, so basically I just shut everybody off, even online friends, which was a new one.
Yeah.
So cut all that off, stopped doing the YouTube, and basically just stayed in bed for about 2 months, and then just never went back to it, basically.
Yeah.
Obviously lost contact with all them people that I'd made decent friends with, so it felt shitty on my end, and obviously they were reaching out and stuff. It's not like they ignored me.
Yeah.
It's like, I think that's the other thing that's difficult. Like for me now coming back into it is why I was so even more apprehensive about it. Because like John, for example, like he's a really close friend. Like I still watch him now. Obviously, I watched him all that time ago.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit like, is he just going to think this wanker just fucked off for ages? Do you know what I mean? So I was a bit apprehensive about that. But obviously, he's still great. And now I've obviously met you guys, and so it's kind of snowballing now. It'd gone from me daring to ask to play Call of Duty with somebody to now sat here doing this.
Yes.
But like the gaming thing does massively help, but I still have that dread. There's still that pre-dread. I don't know why. Like I'm going to be judged in the middle of a COD game. Like what they're going to be judging me on, possibly, apart from my gaming ability, which is awful in COD. But so I still have that, and I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense, and I know it doesn't make any sense, but I can't stop it.
The thing is, it won't go away. We last season on the podcast, we had a Twitch partner on called Talkie. He mains Escape from Tarkov and had a wicked chat. And he actually talked about how he said live streaming, it's never an issue with him. Like, it's never real kind of like an issue or anything like that. He just gets on and just does it and blah, blah, blah. Recording, he said his anxiety goes through the roof every time. And he's been a Twitch streamer, like he's been a Twitch partner, I think, for 5 years. And that shows you that I don't think, and it's the same. I'm not saying I'm not on the scale of talking, I'm nowhere near. But I do the same. Every single time I go to record, I get very flustered and like I've got to press the record button. It's really weird. And, you know, and I think it is that one of them things. And it's actually very interesting because I used to worry about trolls and all that kind of stuff all the time when I first started. Because it is certain games you play, I'm not going to lie. You know, when we started playing Fortnite, you used to get a lot of trolls. Then when I went on to Escape from Tarkov, like hardly any. Apex, there was a few. Very randomly, since I've been playing FIFA, I've had a few more, which is really random. And also,
I can expand on that, but carry on.
Yeah. So that's why I'd like to know your point of it, which would be quite good. But and also as well, there's a new FPS game called X Defiant that's just come out. It's in beta, and I played that the first time last week. And I had someone on there literally come in and go, "Why are you streaming this? Because you're rubbish at the game," type of thing. And I'm like, "It's a beta, and I've just started. Like, what are you chatting about? Like, it's having fun." And normally, if something like that happened, like back in the past, I'd be bright red. I'd feel very flustered. I'd feel like I'm having an anxiety attack because it feels like someone's attacking me and all of that. So that actually has shown to me that I have grown and I know how to, I suppose, overcome it. But it still worries me because there will be a time where I won't be able to overcome it at that point, and I'd have to deal with it a date like the day after or that night or whatever, and that always still worries me. But it does show you that you kind of can, I suppose, work on the things that you're worried about. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah,
you know, same with yourself. Like, as in pressing the go live button is always I think the hardest thing. You know.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. So obviously now I've only just come back to it. What's the third day? So like, but when I streamed before, I'm obviously always up at like 10, 12 viewers, and that was still like during the daytimes I was streaming. Then obviously it was a bit different because it was lockdown. There was a lot of people off work, obviously.
Yes.
So it is completely different now, and obviously I've been gone for years, so it's obviously not going to pick straight back up. But
no.
To me now it's completely flipped. Like, whereas before, obviously, I only recorded videos at first, and I was dead scared to start streaming. Yeah. So when I used to do the recording, like you say, I'd press record, I'd shit my pants, I'd go through my little intro about 17 times. I'm sweating, like it's just an absolute nightmare. Whereas now, obviously, like doing like the TikToks, I think it's made it better because they're shorter.
Yes. So
now I've got used to doing them. Yeah. And because it's like 30 seconds a minute of me talking.
Yes.
And there's not a lot to say either. And most of it's just reacting to what I'm packing anyway. So it kind of writes itself rather than me having to think up some spiel.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas now, so I do think I'd be able to record videos quite well now. But now the streaming is now the issue because, like I was saying to Mrs. Bunn last night, the way I'm dealing with it is like I'm trying to talk it through like I am doing a video.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm effectively just talking to myself throughout my stream.
Yeah.
Even though I know full well there's no fucking so I'm just kind of like waffling to myself. Like the other day, not yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm just singing away to myself. Obviously got my tunes on. I'm just singing away, playing my game.
Nice.
And then Cass was another friend from before who's reappeared. Or
nice.
I've reappeared too. She was like, "Oh, I've been here for about an hour." Like, no way. I've just been singing my head off. Yeah, she's been sat there for an hour.
But then
that's how I've kind of dealt with it, because it is difficult when there's nobody there. Because like you say, I just want somebody to talk to. Like, I want the interaction. Yes. Otherwise, I feel mental.
Yeah.
Just why am I doing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%. And, you do it, and I know it sounds really strange, is that I don't know where I got the first bit of advice from. And it was always, and someone always said, just talk. And then I got Ninja's book like years ago when it first came out. The missus bought it for me, and reading through that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of trash in there, not gonna lie, but there's some good bits in there as well. You know? So you always take what you want to take, and there was a massive bit in there saying you should always talk, because. And it is true, because even if you're singing or whatever, or talking about your day or talking about whatever, even if, because your viewer counter is never going to show true at the true time. Never.
Yep.
So it could say 0 and you could have 4 people in there. It could say 4 and you have 0. You know, it never shows because of the delay and the lag and whatever. It never shows true. But if you're just playing a game and you're not talking, and this is me personally, if I go into someone's stream, even to go and raid them or just go and view, if I'm like, you know, in the day and I just want to watch something or whatever at night and I want to go and watch some gameplay of whatever, if that person is not talking, I will skip past. Because I'm like, there's enough. I tend to watch the streamer. Because, yes, there's obviously games that I like to watch. There's obviously games I like to watch or whatever. But I do like to get a feel of the streamer themselves. And sometimes I've got people on my viewer list of games, of streamers, that I actually am not a fan of what they play at all. But I love them. So I watch them. Because it's either funny, entertaining, or knowledgeable, or whatever it is. And everyone's totally different. But for me personally, I like to be able to have someone just chatting away. And even if I'm the first person in there and they're still chatting, then great. You know? And that's why I think for you, it's wicked that, you know, you are taking it down that route of, if you were recording, this is kind of the steps you would do, and you're doing it in streaming. And I think it'll work. I think it's good.
I hope so. Because like I said, I mean, I've still got time on me. Oh, I should probably add that bit in, actually, going back to the whole mental health side. Mm-hmm. So I basically had an assessment to see if I was fit to go back to work effectively.
Okay. Yeah.
So, obviously, going off the back of everything that's happened, they said I wasn't. So I've effectively got another year of being able to live without getting stressed about.
Okay.
Go find a job.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I've got like another year. So effectively, I want to spend this year doing this, basically. So in the hope that it comes to the end of this year and it pays me the same money that I get now.
Yes,
so, I mean,
exactly.
That's obviously. It's a big goal. Don't get me wrong. It's probably not attainable, but I might as well try.
You might, and this is the thing. Also, as well, I think if it's helping you with your mental health, and this is a big thing with gaming. And I did mention it at the beginning. There are some people out there that mental health is gaming is the cause of their mental health. You know, and that is a big thing. And if it's not, and it does help, then why not? If you've got the time, why not? You know, and that's, again, what I really hit streaming hard when I was furloughed. You know, before the little one came along, I was furloughed because of obviously COVID, and I hit streaming really hard, 5 days a week, like proper hit it hard. But then I was on a proper schedule. I sat down with the missus and said, right, this is my schedule, this is what I'm doing, and I stuck to it quite well. Because that's the other thing. Just make sure you don't burn out, you know? So that's a total other thing. But I think if you now have the opportunity to do it, do it. 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Sure.
So that's a good thing. I think that's, and also as well, you should go back to kind of like talking about like Human Shields here. So last year he had a goal of hitting his 1,000 subs on YouTube, and he hit it. Which is friggin' amazing, you know. So really goals are there, you know, to kind of like push you towards, and you know, if you've got a certain amount of goals, then why not give it a bash? If you've got a year, I think it's
exactly
a good,
I think it's something to aim for. And if it doesn't happen, I haven't really lost anything, have I?
Exactly.
So I can still stream just as much as I do now. So
exactly.
We'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I think, is the saying we use.
Indeed. So going back to FIFA and trolls. or trolls in general.
Yes.
FIFA seems quite like that, but then I've had some really good interactions from people with FIFA, because it was always, we talked about this with Mrs. Bum when she was on the podcast, and trolls on COD, and especially obviously because, you know, her being female, like trolls were horrendous, but I think COD trolls are pretty horrendous anyway. And I've never played FIFA ever. 94 probably on an old PC my mum and dad had, or whatever it was, and so on and so forth. But yes, there seems to be a few in there as well.
Yeah, to say the least. So effectively, every weekend, obviously, I play Foot Champs, which is about as well. It is as high as you can get playing FIFA. It's the most difficult you can get to. Arguably, the elite division in Rivals is probably as hard. Probably harder, actually.
Okay.
But Foot Champs is where the real specimens come out to play. Because obviously it means so much to them, and they have to win to get these rewards and blah, blah, blah. Blah. So yeah, it's not so much trolling, it's more... It's
toxic.
It's genuine anger. It's genuine anger. Or toxicity within the game. So like, they'll get to the 60th minute, 2-1 up, start passing it around the back because they know, because the game's broken. The game's shite, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there. It's absolutely awful. You know, you asked me about it the other day, actually, saying, like, what do I think about it?
Yeah.
It's a guy called Run the Foot Market. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. It's called Nick, a Canadian guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, RTFM on YouTube. Go check out his video from yesterday. It's literally just called like FIFA Rant or something. Everything I think about this game, he encapsulates in one video. It's fantastic. Yeah, so go check that out in your spare time.
Nice.
But yeah, anyway, so the game's just broken. So the people in the game, they just abuse the mechanics that they know full well work and piss everybody off.
Yeah.
So the passing it around the back, you can't do anything. Yeah. Even if you put your team on full press, by the time your team gets up there, they play 2 passes over the top, they're in. You can't do anything against it. You just have to hopelessly chase their fucking defender and goalkeeper around, trying to get the ball back.
Yeah.
Or they'll do the running down the line thing and then cut it back, which is just it's just broken in the game. That, like, every single game you go into in Foot Champs, that's all they do. Like, I had one today on stream when Tom was in.
Yeah.
He just got the ball, passed it to the wing, ran all the way down the wing, pull it back. So I know that's not so much toxic, it's just abusing the game. But,
yeah, definitely.
And obviously the celebration's a little gritty. That's the toxic
I've heard that one.
Yeah,
I have heard that one. It's interesting because I'm not a football fan at all. Like, I love to go and see a good game. Like, I'm not, as I said the other day on my stream, I was like, I've been to San Siro, I've seen like Champions League matches, like all that kind of stuff, and it's phenomenal, but I don't really care. You know, I don't care about the game. It's good to see a good game, like, and backwards, forwards, and all that kind of stuff, and goals, and, you know, don't like seeing 0-0s or anything. But, you know, for me, I'm like, I really like to see a good game of football, and you know, but I'm not fussed who wins. So I don't get, and I actually spoke to Shields about this either today or yesterday or something like that, and because obviously he's a football fan, and I was like, would you actually go and buy like the kits in FIFA? And I'm like, who would buy the kit in FIFA for like 30,000 points or whatever the hell it coins or whatever it is? I'm like, who would do that? And then he was like, everyone. Like, everyone that plays football, if you see your team's kit come up, you're going to buy it. I'm like, what? And it's like, it blows my mind. But that shows you kind of how passionate football players are. And I suppose that passion, as you said, then goes into anger if it doesn't go their way, you know, and so on and so forth. But it's interesting.
That's exactly it. So, like, some of the messages I've had over the last couple of weeks were just insane. I had this one guy literally message me. He was just ranting away. Ironically, he was muted, and I didn't know. So, like, I unmuted him, and he's still like, bah, 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 bah. He's complaining because I was playing 5 back in inverted commas. I was playing 3 at the back, actually, for argument's sake. So anyway, I let him have his rant. Then I literally just talked him through the exact reasons why I was playing that formation. 1, to combat the wankers that just run down the wing. Yeah. So therefore, I bring back to stop them. I was like, and it gives me so many options when I'm in the forward areas. Because did you see when I scored this goal against you and this happened? And he's like, all right, yeah. By the end of it, it's completely back down and we were friends. I was like, yeah, go ahead with your weekend.
Oh
Because that's
God.
the thing. They just want to come in and just go, you're a fucking fat wanker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you've got no idea what you're talking. You don't actually know what you're mad for.
Yes.
Just mad. Like, just relax. It's just a fucking game.
And that there is massively, that is again why we kind of started It's Only Pixels, because at the end of the day, it's only pixels. You know?
Exactly.
It's a safe place and you want to chat to, and yeah, you are right. You are going to get these people that are mad instantly already, and they bring it into your game. And this is the thing as well, I think, you know, bringing it into trolls and toxic and things like that. I always think, and I think it was Darth who mentioned this on the very first podcast we ever done, and he was saying you never know what that person is going through. Yeah. Like, I had someone cut me up, and I mean, I wasn't in a good mental state anyway. Someone cut me up, and that triggered me to have an anxiety attack, which triggered me to then have my breakdown, which triggered me then to, you know, and that was the big start of it all, to proper open up, and like literally that was the big start. And this person was an arsehole. Like, I could have just honestly, I can still see her face now, and I'm just, and see the face, see the car, the whole lot. And it just, but then Darth was like, but what if she was going through a similar thing? You know, it's not right. Obviously, her road raging, it's not right, but you know, could have been anything. And it's the same thing, isn't it? Like, the person playing a game could be having issues at home, could be having whatever. And it's that whole thing. These people are toxic. One, I think, and Darth said this again on the first podcast, that he doesn't believe that there's any more than like 97%, you know, that are not arseholes in the world. You know, there's that 3% that are going to be the arseholes. Everyone else isn't, you know, but they do have an arsehole day or have a moment or whatever. And it's quite interesting because I, since my breakdown, I don't care about road rage at all. Don't give a shit. Someone cuts me up, don't care. Someone does something, I don't care. Unless it's stupidly dangerous and I'm like, you're going to literally kill me and my son, you know. You know, but again, I'm still, I don't care. I'm like, you know, cut in front of me.
I think the one thing to come out of obviously what we've been through is that it gives you a lot of perspective, I think. Massively. Like, just like what you were saying then about, like, I just don't care. Like, there's so many things now that happen, I just do not care. Yeah. Like, there's so many more things that are important and that actually matter than, like, I don't know, I can't even think of an example. It's that unimportant, I can't think of an example. Yeah. But yeah, it's just a completely irrelevant. Yep. So I think much more important things.
There really is, and that is, 100% agree with that. 100%. Sam, this has been wicked, mate. Okay. Like, this has been so good. Good to talk. And this is it, isn't it? It's been good to talk. Like, I always say, like, at the bottom of the screen here, there's always numbers. They are UK based, but they are helplines from the Samaritans, Mind, and Calm. So they're mental health kind of charities here in the UK. If you are struggling or someone else is struggling and you're trying to help someone else, these numbers are great for the person that is struggling, but also for you. If you're there trying to help someone, they will be able to kind of talk you through best ways of getting help for someone else. But yeah, Sam, honestly, it's been wicked, and 100% if you're up for it, you know, for next season or even the end of this season, we'll come on again and have a chat. I really appreciate it, because it's it's nice to, again, it's that thing, is it's nice, even for me, it's nice to talk to people that are going through similar things that I'm going through. You know, it's you know, we always say you are not alone, but sometimes it's very hard to feel like you know, there is other people there. It's always hard, but yeah, to kind of hear your story as well, it reminisces with me as well, which is nice. So it's been good. It's been good for me as well as you.
Good. Everyone's a winner. Everyone's a winner.
Exactly. Cool. Let me. I'll come back and speak to you in a minute, Sam. But I appreciate it, and I'll be back to you in a minute. I'll just do my sign off, and I'll catch you in a minute. But also before I do go, have you got any last words or anything last to say? If you have, great. If not, don't worry. But Is there anything?
I've got one more thing to say. Yeah, you know, when you're talking about mental health within gaming and people getting angry.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone from EA is watching this fucking video, make the change that when people quit at 0-0, they lose and we get the win, and it doesn't just cancel the game, because that is one thing that sends everyone's mental health up the wall. Yeah, there you go. That's my last thing.
That is very true. Awesome. Cheers, sir. I'll speak to you in a minute. All right. Cheers, mate.
Yeah.
Guys, that was wicked. Honestly, that was so good. To be able to speak to someone new is always really nice for me, and important for the podcast, and important for you guys who are listening and watching. Again, we will say this to really believe that you are not alone, and someone else is going through something very similar. And you know, even for myself today, like, you know, my breakdown was like years ago. But to talk to Sam and kind of him saying exactly kind of the way it happened to me was very strange. And again, it's not a nice thing to happen, but it's a nice thing to know that people were going through the same thing. So yeah, it's it was a good one today. I really appreciated Sam coming on and opening up. That's it's wicked. As always, thank you so much for watching, listening, wherever you are watching or listening, so YouTube and Spotify. Please, if you can, thumbs up, share it. It does really help. Add a comment, always helps as well. But apart from that, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching, and always look after your mental health.